Something big is about to change on American roads, and if you drive, plan to drive, or even just rent a car in the United States, this could affect you starting May 2026. Imagine getting pulled over and discovering that a rule you've followed for years is suddenly outdated or worse, facing a fine simply because you didn't know the law had changed. Right now, millions of drivers across the country have no idea that new driving regulations are about to roll out, and some of these changes could impact how you renew your license, how traffic violations are tracked, and even how authorities monitor road safety. But here's the surprising part. These new rules aren't just minor updates hidden in government paperwork. Officials say the goal is to make roads safer and more efficient, but critics are warning that some of the changes could catch everyday drivers completely off guard. From stricter enforcement technology to updated license requirements and potential penalties that could affect your driving record faster than ever before, the changes arriving in May 2026 may reshape how Americans drive. And if you think these updates won't apply to you, think again, because whether you're a daily commuter, a rideshare driver, a senior driver, or someone who only drives occasionally, these new regulations could still impact your driving privileges. So before you get behind the wheel next month, you need to know exactly what's changing, why these rules are being introduced, and how they could affect you personally. Make sure you watch this video until the end so you don't miss any of the critical details, and if you appreciate updates that help you stay informed and avoid costly mistakes on the road, don't forget to hit the like button right now. Right after hearing about the sweeping driving changes starting in May 2026, many drivers across the United States are asking the same question: what exactly is changing, and how could it affect everyday people the moment they get behind the wheel? The truth is, the rules governing how Americans drive have been evolving for years, but the upcoming adjustments are drawing unusual attention because they combine several safety initiatives, technology updates, and enforcement strategies that could directly impact millions of drivers almost overnight. For many people, driving is so routine that they rarely think about the laws behind it. They simply get in the car, start the engine, and head to work, school, or the grocery store without imagining that a small regulatory update could suddenly change how they interact with traffic laws. Yet that is precisely why officials are pushing these new rules so strongly right now. According to transportation authorities, the goal is to reduce accidents, improve accountability, and adapt to modern technology that is already transforming vehicles and roadways. One of the most significant reasons these changes are happening is the steady rise in road incidents over the past several years. Despite advancements in vehicle safety features like automatic braking, lane assistance, and collision alerts, distracted driving and inconsistent enforcement have continued to cause serious problems on highways and city streets. Policymakers believe that updating driving regulations is one of the most direct ways to address these concerns. Starting in May 2026, several states are aligning their rules with new federal guidance that encourages stricter monitoring of driver behavior and faster reporting of traffic violations. While many drivers may not notice the difference immediately, those who frequently commute or travel long distances could begin to see changes in how traffic laws are enforced and how violations are recorded. One of the major elements of the new driving framework involves technology that many drivers are already familiar with but may not fully understand. Across the country, more cities and states have been installing advanced traffic monitoring systems. These include smarter traffic cameras, automated license plate readers, and digital reporting tools that allow violations to be processed faster than ever before. In the past, some drivers relied on the assumption that minor infractions might go unnoticed if an officer was not physically present. That assumption is rapidly disappearing. Under the updated system rolling out in 2026, violations detected through verified digital monitoring can move through enforcement channels much more quickly. That does not necessarily mean everyone will suddenly receive tickets in the mail, but it does mean drivers should be more aware than ever of speed limits, traffic signals, and road signage. Another area receiving attention is license renewal procedures. While the specifics can vary from state to state, many departments of motor vehicles have been updating their verification processes to ensure driver records remain accurate and up to date. For some drivers, particularly those renewing licenses after long periods, this could mean additional identity verification steps or updated documentation requirements. Officials argue that these measures are not meant to inconvenience drivers but rather to protect against identity fraud and ensure that driving records remain reliable. For everyday motorists, the most important takeaway is simply to stay informed about local DMV notices and renewal timelines so that there are no surprises when it is time to update a license. Safety advocates also point to another important shift: greater focus on distracted driving enforcement. Over the last decade, smartphones have become one of the biggest contributors to dangerous driving habits. Even though most states already prohibit texting while driving, enforcement has often been inconsistent because it can be difficult to prove exactly what a driver was doing inside the vehicle. The updated enforcement strategies aim to close that gap by giving authorities clearer guidelines and better tools for identifying distraction-related violations. In practical terms, this means drivers should be extremely cautious about using phones or other devices while operating a vehicle, even briefly. Something that once seemed harmless, like glancing at a message during a red light, could potentially fall under stricter scrutiny depending on local rules. Another change gaining attention involves how traffic violations affect driver records over time. Many drivers assume that minor tickets eventually disappear without much impact, but the modernization of digital driving databases means records are becoming more centralized and easier to track. That does not mean every small mistake will permanently damage a driving history, but it does mean that patterns of repeated violations may be identified more quickly. Officials say this approach helps highlight drivers who repeatedly ignore safety rules while allowing responsible drivers to maintain clean records. For older drivers and those approaching retirement age, these developments can feel especially concerning. Many seniors rely heavily on their ability to drive in order to maintain independence. Transportation agencies insist that the new regulations are not designed to target any specific age group. Instead, they emphasize that the goal is fairness and consistency for all drivers. However, seniors may still want to pay attention to medical certification rules or renewal procedures that could change slightly in some states as part of broader safety reviews. Professional drivers, including delivery workers, truck operators, and rideshare drivers, may also experience some ripple effects from the updated regulations. Because they spend more time on the road than the average driver, even small adjustments in enforcement or monitoring could affect their daily routines. Many companies are already advising employees to stay updated on traffic laws and to review safe driving policies to ensure compliance. For gig economy drivers in particular, maintaining a clean driving record can be critical for continuing to work on certain platforms, making awareness of these rule changes especially important. Another factor shaping the conversation around the May 2026 updates is the rapid growth of semi-autonomous vehicle technology. Many modern cars already include features like adaptive cruise control, lane-keeping assistance, and automated parking systems. While these technologies are designed to support drivers, they do not replace human responsibility behind the wheel. Regulators want to ensure that drivers remain attentive and accountable even when using advanced features. That is why many new guidelines emphasize that drivers must maintain control of their vehicles at all times, regardless of how sophisticated the onboard technology may be. For everyday drivers, the best strategy is not panic but preparation. Most of the new rules are designed to improve safety rather than dramatically alter how people drive. In reality, drivers who already follow traffic laws, respect speed limits, and avoid distractions are unlikely to face major disruptions. The biggest risk lies in simply being unaware that enforcement tools and monitoring systems are becoming more advanced. Staying informed allows drivers to adapt smoothly without unnecessary stress. Many transportation experts also believe that public awareness will play a major role in how smoothly these changes are adopted. When drivers understand the reasons behind updated rules, they are more likely to cooperate and adjust their habits accordingly. That is why informational campaigns and discussions like this one are becoming increasingly important. Instead of hearing about a new rule only after receiving a ticket, drivers can learn about changes ahead of time and make small adjustments that keep them compliant. Another interesting aspect of the 2026 updates is the emphasis on data-driven policy. Transportation departments now have access to far more detailed road safety data than they did even a decade ago. By analyzing patterns in accidents, congestion, and driver behavior, officials can identify specific risk factors and design regulations aimed at reducing them. While some critics worry about increased monitoring, supporters argue that the ultimate goal is saving lives and preventing injuries on the road. For many drivers, the most practical takeaway from all of this is surprisingly simple. Pay attention to road signs. Follow posted speed limits. Keep both hands focused on driving instead of phones or other distractions. And stay informed about license requirements and local transportation announcements. These habits have always been part of responsible driving, but they are becoming even more important in a world where technology can detect violations more quickly than ever. As May 2026 approaches, conversations about these new rules will likely continue across social media, news outlets, and local communities. Some drivers may feel skeptical at first, especially if they believe the existing system already works well enough. Others may welcome the changes if they believe stronger enforcement could make roads safer for families and commuters. Regardless of individual opinions, one thing is clear: understanding the updates before they take effect is far better than being surprised by them later. Ultimately, the message behind these new driving rules is not about punishing drivers but about encouraging safer habits in an era when vehicles, roads, and technology are all evolving rapidly. Driving today looks very different from driving 20 or 30 years ago, and regulations must adapt to keep pace with those changes. By staying aware of the rules and making responsible choices behind the wheel, drivers can continue to enjoy the freedom and convenience that driving provides while also helping create safer roads for everyone. So if you or someone you know drives regularly in the United States, now is the perfect time to pay attention to these upcoming updates. Share this information with friends, family members, and coworkers who might not yet realize that changes are on the horizon. Awareness today can prevent confusion tomorrow, and a little preparation can go a long way toward avoiding unnecessary stress once the new rules officially begin.